What is life when a man can't die with his one last drink? If that isn't the most cruelest fate, I don't know what is. Fuck the fact that he's already, about to be chomped down by some man-eating creatures. Fuck that. But at the very least, can a man just die with his last sip of the old man's best friend during its darkest times? That was cruel, and I love how it was set up from earlier on, because if I'm not mistaken, that was the same bottle that was poured onto Reiner's arm. It was like, well, why, man? Just let the man have his last drink. Now, with that being said, this episode of Attack on Titan, it did feel as though it was more so a builder again of suspense. The ending was insane. It was like, holy shit, blowing open a whole other door of questions, but it still felt like, okay, yeah, this is really like, what's going on here? It feels as though when you're watching it, it's like, who do I trust? Which character can I trust and which can I not? Because especially after you see the end of the episode, it's like, whoa. And then throughout the episode, it feels as though, aside from like Connie and maybe like one or two other characters, but especially aside from Connie, it feels as though a lot of the characters is like, what's going on with them? Like, they're just kind of weird. You got like Reiner there, and he's kind of just acting like a nut job in a way. You got Bertolt there looking nervous as hell and even disrespecting Reiner. You got Ymir just completely being a shitbag towards, Connie, and then at the same time just acting very funny. Is like, who the fuck do you trust throughout this episode? Because after the Annie situation, and after even, Eren finding out he's a Titan and shit like that, you never can really be too sure in the Attack on Titan world, especially with this crew in general, of who to trust, you know what I'm saying? So throughout the episode, I felt that vibe, and I felt as though, again, it was building up suspense even further. But as a manga reader, without giving any spoilers to future events from this episode, I felt as though they were leaving a lot of breadcrumbs and clues, especially to even the Ymir reveal. It was kind of like, oh shit. And I think in the manga they played out events differently. There was like a chapter or so where that was supposed to happen prior to this event, if I'm not mistaken. So it's kind of like they're switching things up a little bit, which I like the way the manga did it. The anime did it pretty okay too, because it was like, oh, didn't see that coming. I mean, I guess if you obviously read the manga, then you knew. But if you didn't read the manga, I'm imagining that you were shocked as fuck. Like, what the fuck? When Ymir jumped out, I was like, yo. So let's talk about Reiner quickly. This man's a monster. Like, regardless of what you want to say about Reiner and everything that happened, ultimately, this man is a fucking beast. He takes a fucking Titan biting, which I believe he did that to save Connie. A fucking Titan is biting his arm, and he lifts him up, and he's about to jump out the fucking window with the damn Titan like a monster. I'm like, this man is a savage. So when Bertolt says, he's not a warrior like he once was, I'm thinking to myself, what? The fuck are you talking about right now? This man just, if that's not a warrior, then what the fuck is? Which is one of the things that make you say, what the hell is going on? Now, you can possibly attribute what Bertolt is saying to the flashback that we got regarding Reiner. In the past, seemingly one of his friends saved his life at the hands of a Titan. The Titan was getting ready to body Reiner, and instead he pushed him out the way, and he became like a sacrifice for him. So you could possibly assume, okay, maybe after that event, that's when Reiner completely changed and he wasn't the same person. But if he changed, then what? Was this guy an absolute animal? If he's fucking taking a Titan, biting his arm and lifting him up and not really complaining about it, getting ready to fucking commit seppuku in a sense, commit suicide, jump out the motherfucking window with a Titan biting his arm, what was he before that? So you got to think, is their relationship strained? What's going on there? Definitely feels as though it was building up suspense, but the best conclusion you could come up with at this particular point, right, is the fact that maybe after that sacrifice, Reiner changed completely. And I mean, it was building up as a desperate situation. This definitely feels as though this is classic Attack on Titan shit, where it's like, what do you do? Like, we have no weapons. We have a couple of scouts out there, but they can only do so much. They're fucking getting, a lot of work to take care of. How the fuck they're going to be able to do everything? So it's like, it really feels like this is the Attack on Titan that you signed up for. It's like a desperate situation. There's fucking herds of Titans coming through, and you would think at the end of last week's episode, the Ape Titan was done. He climbed the wall, he looked back real quick, and was gonna bounce, but no, he's still up to no good, throwing horses from all the way the fuck over there. You gotta think, how powerful is this fucking creature, right? If he's able to lift horses from all the way at the wall, and they're in that castle, and toss them over, this is one strong ass fucking creature. Whatever or whoever that may be is ultimately definitely something a lot more fierce than most of the Titans we've seen thus far, because I don't really remember any Titans that could throw horses, you know, miles and miles away. So very credible, but also strategic at the same time, as it was pointed out in the episode. The fact that at the same time as the horses get thrown, a bunch of more Titans come running through. So it's like, what's going on there? How is he able to do these things if he is coordinating things? I mean, he was trying to talk to that one Titan and it just wasn't listening to him that time in episode 1. So maybe he can control the Titans. Maybe there's something there. Either way, it's like, you know, whatever it is with the Ape Titan, he has some special abilities on top of just being hench as fuck. And just quickly, I know they're not big characters and not major characters. I honestly can't even really remember their names, but I do feel as though for being irrelevant in a way, the 2 scouts that was out there that ended up dying by the end of the episode, the man wanting his alcohol and that chick that basically died trying to save him, it was pretty good. Because, like, you know, when you can take characters that we just don't give a fuck about, we don't know them through a hole in the wall, like you take Connie or, you know, Eren, Armin, you know, those characters we care about, but these 2 we don't give a fuck about them. But it still felt as though, like, ooh, because of the desperate situation that was brought forth with this episode, it was like, oh my gosh. And again, going back to that alcohol, I don't want to keep stressing on the alcohol, but man, what a fucking cruel way to die. And the voice actor nailed it. Now obviously I'm not Japanese and I can't tell exactly, you know, what's acting and what's just the way they talk, but I felt that when he was like, this is so cruel, and he's there crying, and as they're taking him or the Titans dragging him, I was like, that's a great performance at the very least. It crossed the sound barrier to make me understand the emotion that was coming through. So good shit there. And then of course it was kind of weird what was happening with the girl while she was being eaten. I can't really remember if she was saying something like daddy no or something like that. So very interesting stuff where it's like you could almost make a little side story about her life as well. And I like that Isayama does those things, because it's like, well, we don't know her, but just a few lines of dialogue can make you question, like, she has a story. I wonder what her life was like prior to all this, or prior to, at the very least, this event. Definitely gotta say though, don't save Connie, okay? Don't save Connie, because it seems as though Connie got some bad luck. First, Annie saved him, and then, you know, the catastrophe there. And then Reiner saves him at the cost of getting his fucking arm broken and bitten up. Like, just don't save Connie. Let the motherfucker die. He already has problems as it is. He doesn't need to fucking deal with this. Just stop saving Connie and the world will be a better place. But then the end of the episode, that was a game changer right here. That's one of the events in Attack on Titan that you're gonna look back and say, yeah, that was a moment that changed things, because whenever we get a reveal of a Titan shifter, it brings so many questions. How? Why? When? What's the reason for hiding it? Obviously, Eren, he didn't know he really had it to begin with. Annie, different story. She was a traitor and we still don't really have information. Ymir, the art and animation when she just jumps down, slashes her fucking wrist, turns into a Titan, and just jumps into the mosh pit of all these motherfucking Titans. Great scene, great way to end the episode, great cliffhanger that is going to make a lot of people, especially that don't know, be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for next week's episode. You can see the relationship between her and Krista is very interesting. It's definitely more than meets the eye, especially if you've seen the preview for next week's episode. You know there's some history between the two of them, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they expand and explore, especially in the anime adaptation. Honestly, this episode, though, it felt as though it was a slow grinder, but with a very great payoff. And to be honest with you, the slow grinder still was pretty awesome. I mean, Reiner getting his fucking arm chewed off, the Titans coming through the wall. It felt like a survival horror, and that's what I loved about Attack on Titan to begin with. It was like, how do you defeat these monsters? How do you do things? Like, when it introduced Eren as a Titan, and kind of a Titan for justice in a way, it was a little bit of a different story. When you get back to this, where they don't have weapons, they don't have nothing, and there's just an endless, hopeless situation, that's when it got good. And that's when I think Attack on Titan is at its highest. Now, with Ymir turning into a Titan at the end of the episode, that doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to be a capable Titan like, you know, the Ape Titan or Eren for that matter. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're out of the jam yet. And also what her actions and what her motives are. Is she actually on our side? Why did she hide this power the entire time? So a lot of questions brought forth with the end of this episode. But I gotta say, for a slow grinder, it was a great payoff. And ultimately, this episode, I want to give it between the 8 to an 8.5. It wasn't the most amazing up until the end at the very least, but it was still a damn good episode and very worth the watch. And yeah, it brings a lot of questions. So I guess I want to start off with, what did you guys think about this episode? How did you feel about the atmosphere of this episode? I felt as though atmosphere played a big part in this episode of like, fuck, who do I trust? Holy shit, this is a scary situation. Oh my god, Reiner, he's taking a monster biting his arm, and then Bertolt saying he's not a warrior. What's up? What happened really in the past right there? And another big thing, and this is not a spoiler because all you gotta do is look at the episode, and if you caught it, you caught it. You didn't, well, I'm gonna tell you right now. If you look in the flashback, right, of Reiner when he was saved by his friend from a Titan, the design of that Titan looked similar to what Ymir turned into at the end of the episode. Just a note. Could be a coincidence, could be a lot of different circumstances there, but just something to note there. If you caught it, good. If you didn't, well, I'm giving you the information. It's right there. No spoilers at all. And your overall thoughts of the episode. Personally, again, slow grinder with a great payoff. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.